Paul Heyman guy. You know who else is a Paul Heyman guy? Brock Lesnar. Only he's not in Supremacy MMA. And neither is Paul. No, instead you have a whole bunch of people the casual MMA fan will have never heard of. In fact, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not even sure if all these people are real. I mean, I'm pretty sure Jens Pulver actually exists, obviously, but some of these guys, I mean, Dante Alighieri, that's not real, is it? He's been dead for centuries. Nonetheless, that's kind of the point of Supremacy MMA, to give you an MMA game without all the glitz and glam of major organizations like UFC. This is a game for fans who dig deeper into the sport than just listening to Joe Rogan's commentary. It prides itself on being hardcore in spirit and simple in execution. Too bad it's kind of mediocre in everything. Supremacy MMA counters its competition with a reversal in tone, where THQ's UFC games go for a realistic vibe with really complex controls and gameplay mechanics. This one takes a slightly different road. Supremacy is more like an arcade fighting game with an MMA coat of paint. It's kind of like Ryu stepped into the octagon, only, without the hadouken. And personally, I love that approach. I find the controls in UFC Unleashed to be a little much. I vastly prefer a game with accessible controls that let you jump in and play without the steep learning curve. So conceptually, Supremacy MMA's heart is definitely in the right place. The problem is how that concept has been realized. If you're going for that arcade-like vibe, fast and responsive action is essential. This is something Supremacy lacks. Button inputs seem to have a bit of a lag, which can make matches feel a lot slower than would be ideal. The fighting just doesn't feel very fluid or responsive, and again, that's detrimental to what the game is trying to be. Fortunately, the game does succeed in other areas. For example, Supremacy does a better job portraying the brutality of the sport than any other MMA game on the market. The animations are kind of jerky, but the attacks can look devastating at times. And as each fight wears on, you can actually see the physical toll it takes on the characters. They bruise, they start to bleed, and it's really cool to see that gradual effect. But in addition to the unresponsive attacks, Supremacy also stumbles over its own strange gameplay emphasis. You see, you spend a lot of the game waiting to counter. You can't really make a move effectively until your opponent makes one, which you have to counter. And it's realistic, sure, but Supremacy MMA deliberately strives to be unrealistic in every other area. So it's a strange system to implement in a game that wants to be a fast-paced counterpoint to its competition. But even with its flaws, I did have fun with Supremacy occasionally. Locking in a nice submission move after a simple chain of attacks was really satisfying, as was getting a guy to tap out with a sweet triangle choke. But I really wanted more from this game. As it is, the presentation is lacking and the execution doesn't match what the philosophy seems to be, leaving fans with an average MMA game that just isn't ready for a title match.